reading from me, I post them 15 minutes before you read it.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, I was trying to tell you it's delayed because when you said, "Oh, I'm back," I had already typed 10 minutes before. I was
Oh,
like,
my
I've been
word.
here. I watched the whole day except for when you went
Right.
home. I had my
I
phone on
appreciate
yesterday.
it.
I was all day, girl. Like, yoo-hoo.
All right. Thank you for joining us, Coach Dèa. Can you tell everyone who you are and what you do? And I have your scrolling banner going across with all your
Oh,
information and
there you go.
everything.
Yes. So I am a women's empowerment coach, marriage, family, and divorced women's coach, as well as a certified trauma healing facilitator. I also happen to be an award winning podcast host of Love Most, the podcast with Dea. If you guys want to see the winning episode in which I interviewed a multi award winning Christian filmmaker, Dr. Kevin McAfee, who worked with MGM and in Hollywood and made various productions that were award winning, including a movie called End of the Spear. Check it out on Apple. I only uploaded one episode. If you want to watch the rest of the episodes, I have 2 seasons and 16 episodes under my belt. You can watch on my website at coachingwithdea.com. So under the podcast tab, of course.
So, how did you get into being all of the things that you are, women's empowerment coach, trauma informed facilitator, relationship expert, divorce, marriage? Like, what was it an experience that happens? Like, take us on a journey.
Yeah, so I've always been into personal development, right? Oh, look, I forgot to put this one thing to match it. We're mirroring, but I can't see if I have it on. So, yeah, so it started off very young. My mother was very much into mind power, right? So, started
Mm,
very young, understanding about mind power and the impact of the things that we say to ourselves about ourselves,
mhm.
and would always talk about affirmations and things like that. So I became, in love with personal development from a young age. And over the years, just as I put myself through a lot of the storms as I call them, self-inflicted storms, which is where
As
I
they
learned
are.
lessons, right? As I got older, I started to seek answers to some of the questions I couldn't ask myself, right? So when I started having questions about life, I realized I don't have answers to the questions I needed to ask before I made those mistakes and didn't have the tools to do so. And so the journey began. But fast forward to, 20 years of mistakes, right? And also good things, blessings as well. I looked at the things that had gone wrong and went on a quest to find out why was it that I couldn't get this or that. And in that process, I said, how many people need to learn? Because I mean, the epiphany was incredible. It was just like, oh, wow, no wonder it didn't work. Now I know
Mhm.
this, I know that. And then I thought, how many people could use that information? And so
Yeah.
then I decided to become a coach after doing a course, getting a diploma. And then the other things came with it. I did a various courses from Insight to Landmark to the Paradigm Shift with Rob Proctor. I also did the Great Adaptation with Esther Perel. I did a couples program with Ellen Bader, who is a
Mhm.
psychotherapist who has worked closely with Esther Perel. I've done, gosh, so many other things concerning personal development, and then did a Kingdom School of Ministry, which is a pastoral course, even though I'm not a pastor, because a lot of my uh, approach to healing comes from faith.
Mhm.
But I work with people that are of faith and people that don't believe in higher power. It's either is fine. I have a certification in Reiki 1. I'm working towards getting the master certification for a master Reiki. But, all of these are elements of my interest in the journey of healing. So
Mhm.
because I'm an empowerment coach, my mantra is find you and everything else will follow. So the
Nice.
whole thing became about empowering women to rediscover and rewrite their story, right?
Absolutely.
From that inside job place that I talk about,
Mhm.
right? So that's how basically in a nutshell what happened.
Wow, that's so interesting. What is the one area of all of this that really, really helped you transform?
That's a good question.
Thank you.
Many things, actually, not one thing in particular, but just generally was emotional humility. Was
Mm,
understanding that I needed to learn. And in order to learn, I needed to accept that I was imperfect. Because
wow.
perfection, and I heard people talk earlier about perfectionism. Perfectionism actually is a mental issue. Okay.
Right.
And the thing about perfectionism that is problematic is because it does help you do so many things well. Therefore, it looks like success, right? It
Right.
looks like achievement, accomplishment. Yeah, because you were nuts and a freak and you push to the limit, push yourself to the limit. You hear this, people who are perfectionists, and I used to be one of them, you get yourself to the point of you're in agony, right? And you get it
Mhm.
done, you get it right, you do so many things. The process of unlearning that is interesting, right?
Mhm.
But you can achieve the same, if not more, right?
Yeah.
So I'll tell you a little bit about it. I'll give you an example about it in a little bit. So uh, that of which unlearning, right? Unlearning that behavior, unlearning that habit or that mental issue in order to achieve more with freedom and peace instead of the
Mm.
struggle of I have to do it. My image is going to be ruined. No, what about my identity? What about operating from who I am? Because a lot of us are operating from the
Yeah.
reputation. What are people going to think of me instead of who am I? Right?
Exactly.
So that was a big shift for me. It was emotional humility and then embracing the process, right? As you said and taught me many years ago, honoring my feelings, honoring the journey, honoring all of it, the pain, the struggle, the insecurity, and understanding that was all a part of it.
Yeah.
Nothing is apart from it. A lot of times it's saying, oh, I heard somebody say earlier, I'm now in my 50s. Now I got da da da. Da. Why didn't it happen no, because that was a part of it. A
Yeah.
part of it was that it didn't happen before because you weren't ready. It has to be
Mhm.
right and ready. So understanding the timing. And the minute I said to myself, even though it's not happening right now,
Mhm.
nothing is out of place. And
Mhm.
that understanding, that deep understanding what that meant was a surrender. It's a process of surrender. It's when you say it's up to God or whoever's higher power, right? Whatever it is that you
Yeah.
believe in that is beyond yourself to say, this is all I can do is do what I can do. The
Yep.
rest is not up to me. And let
Mhm.
that be the universe, God, whatever it is you believe in, take over. Okay.
Yeah.
Understanding that nothing is out of place. That was very powerful. And so then that journey began, the journey of healing. The journey of healing involved, it was so interesting because it wasn't anything like, yay, today I'm going to wake up and heal. It wasn't like that. It was more like, I was like, oh my God, I just need a different life. I was like devastated with
Mhm.
PTSD and depression. And that moment, I understood that I had the desire to survive, but I didn't know how. So for
Mhm.
anyone who's listening, don't think it's going to look like this right now, right? All the
Oh,
I've
never.
made, I'm here, I have arrived. No, it was the moment that you begin to heal, the moment of the shift from where you were to where you're going. It's not going to look like bells and whistles.
Nope.
It's going to look like pain and struggle. And you're going to have a desire to overcome it, to
Mhm.
override it, actually, because you don't overcome it. See, when you override it, you only survive. And when you overcome it, you're healed.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the distinction I wanted to make. So what was the example that I was going to give with the perfectionism? Okay, so take that thing that you mentioned about the celebrity earlier, right? And you,
Mhm.
oh, I got to ask you about what happened with Paul Abdul. So I knew that they were going to be doing this video compilation of this song that's been 36 years old. She's one of my favorite artists for many, many reasons. One, because a lot of people say I look like her. I've actually been stopped. Are you Paul Abdul? I'm like, oh my God, I wish. I love her. And I love her image out there. You don't hear gossip with her name. She seems to be
Nope.
warm. The way she talks sometimes, that little bit of a trembling in her voice makes me think she's humble. She's a little nervous, maybe, or maybe that's how she speaks, but always with such warmth, always paying attention to people, always validating people. And I love that at her age, she's actually a little older than I am. I think she's 62. I'm going to be 60, right?
Mhm.
So I love the message that do it, just get out there and shine, right? So this is like, I'm in love with her. So when I saw that they're going to be saying, hey, send your videos, I saw it very last minute, literally like the day before it was due.
I
In the,
remember because we talked about it.
in the past, I would have been like, oh my God, it's not perfect. And I was like, okay, what can I do? Because I can't imitate the choreography. It's too late for me to practice. Um,
Right.
I figure, okay, let me pick up one movement that's from the video, do my own thing because they said you could do whatever you want. And
Mhm.
I did it black and white. And I just thought, I'm gonna do my own thing. Actually, when I start and I pull the shoes up, and if you guys want to check it out, it's on IG at Coaching with Dèa. It's a black and white video. And what I did was, because she started step dancing, I was like, I'm not wearing shoes. That was my whole thing about do a spin on what the video actually was. Did I think I was going to get picked? No, because I thought there was thousands of people. I didn't even expect
I knew you were going to get picked. I
well,
knew.
I didn't make it to the final video. I don't think that I saw, but it was okay because I got the acknowledgement, the actual shout out. Right.
Yeah.
So for me, that was like more than what I expected. Just the fact that she put a message on my page and then I reposted it. She liked the repost. So it was great because, see, here's what I want to say. When you're not a perfectionist, right, you will most likely do something with abandonment, meaning you're not attached to the outcome. So for me, it was like just the fact that I was participating. And I did only 3 takes. I said, I'm not allowing myself to do more than that. I was pressed for time. I needed to be somewhere. I said, just do some. I did it 3 takes and I was like, oh, this is good enough. In the past, I wouldn't have done that. I would have said, oh, my hair is weird here, or I don't like this, I don't like that. I literally was like, hey, send it. You're not expecting anything anyway. And when I got I love this Dèa, and it was like, Paul Abdul, I was like, oh my God. So that was more than what I expected. Why? Because I wasn't attached to the outcome. When you disconnect from the perfectionism mentality, you start to look at life as anything is an opportunity. And how many things have I done with abandonment and have been awarded things I didn't expect? The presidential award was like that. The scholarships for the top 2 dance schools in the United States was that. All of the things that I've done that were amazing. The relationships that I didn't expect, or people that I meet, or work that I do, or it's always like, just do it. Throw yourself at it. Why not?
Yeah.
What do you have to lose? We don't have anything to lose, right? Only gain.
Absolutely.
Even the experience of that, of which could be a disappointment, is a revelation, right? You could say, oh, I'm disappointed I didn't get picked. I'm like, no, I'm excited that I received something that I didn't expect. Or, well, I might have not gotten this job, but maybe it wasn't meant for me. Maybe there was something greater down the road. So to start to look at the no's as a yes. Yes. See, the no's are yeses for more, for better, for more that you deserve to have that you don't yet have.
Yep. And also to just like operating gratitude for everything, for all the things. I think that's the other part of it too, because I think oftentimes when we go through certain things in life or we don't get what we want, it's just like, oh my God, like my life is over, blah, 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 blah. It's like God is probably saying, well, what the hell with the stuff that you have right now? Why are you not grateful for what I've given you right now?
Right now. Yes, right now. It's not tomorrow. It's not next year. We may not even be here tomorrow. So it's like the moment, the moment in time. I call moment in time these glimpses of life in which you have an opportunity to recognize something that takes you to the next level. From in what I mean, like next level, I'm not talking about becoming a celebrity. See, this is the issue, that everybody thinks that what's big is what's seen by others instead of what's in here. You get to experience that in real time. No one else does, right? So that moment in time is where you get to experience freedom and peace.
Yep.
That's the only thing you can. Now, if somebody gets to see it, say I was having freedom and peace doing that video. I was like, hey, I have freedom and peace. I did what it was asked of me to do, and I enjoyed myself while doing it. Did I expect to be recognized? No, I didn't even think, because I thought people probably, they have thousands of videos. It's literally 2 hours before they close it, and they had extended to Sunday. I'm like, they're never going to see me. When I won back in 2010, I created a mom and baby product that was picked by Kimberly Clark, which is the mother company of Huggies, right? And I won this award, which was at that time the largest grant to startup companies for moms who were entrepreneurs. It was a $15,000 grant. And I just thought, girl, and I was the last submission, because literally as I sent it, this has been going on for months. I see it on the last day, on a day that I was all discouraged about life. I thought, just do it. What else can happen, right? Nothing is happening. I have nothing to lose. I send it in, I submit it. And then after that, I receive a notification that the contest was closed, right? And then I was like, they're not going to call me. 2 months go by, I get a call. I was one of the winners, 12 winners out of almost 550 entries. And they said, we had already picked the 12 winners. When your product came in, we switched it.
Oh, wow.
put you in and took somebody out because we were like, okay, this is definitely more creative. And so it not expecting is a big thing. Now, when I say not expecting, let me put this in the right perspective. I'm not saying that you don't expect in a sense that you don't feel deserving of. I think that you always expect great things. But when I say don't expect it, I mean don't be attached to it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be attached to it. Yes, I always expect great things, I always, because when you do that, what you're saying to the universe is, I deserve it.
Yeah.
I deserve it. So it's the expectation that it can happen, but you're not attached if it doesn't, right? And
Right.
just because you didn't get it doesn't mean you don't deserve it. And just because you didn't get it doesn't mean that you won't get it in the future. Thing is that maybe at that time in that season, it was someone else's turn,
Yeah.
right? We're here as souls, right? We're here as souls and lives in this realm on earth as humanity. And we
Mhm.
are part of a big puzzle. It happened for some people. For some people, it's not time yet. Next term, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing. As people are being born, people are also dying, right? The
Absolutely. I
world
see it
is
all the
all
time.
in that rhythm. So it's just because it didn't happen in that day, that moment doesn't mean it won't happen, or it wasn't your time yet,
Mm-hmm.
right? And our time also doesn't involve when we think we're ready,
Yeah.
right? There's something else that has to be at play when the time is right.
Mm-hmm.
Something we may
Absolutely.
not know nothing about, right?
Yeah.
So
And the universe is always working the way the universe works. And sometimes things are not in our control. We can control how we respond and react to it, but we can't control the outcome at times. And it happens when it happens. And like it was Tina Jackson was saying that, she learned all these things later on in life. And it was something that you said about it happened when it was supposed to in time or something. It's not too late or whatever. And I'm a firm believer in it. I'm a firm believer in the fact that life happens the way it happens. It's designed the way it's designed, and we can just go with it, or we can just resist it.
right, it's never apart from it, it's always a part of it. It's
Right.
just that we tend to think that what we pick and what we want is the way it's going to play out, and it's not, because at the end of the day, will we get what we want? To some extent, yes, but most importantly, that we get what we need.
Right.
And that's not
Right.
something we always know what is, right? We don't
Right.
always know what that is.
Can
So
you
it's an important thing to accept.
can you go a little bit deeper into the difference between want and need? Because I think a lot of people have this misconception about the two, that the two is the same, but they're completely different.
Yeah. Well, sometimes what you want is what you need, right? There are
Mhm.
things that might be, you may not have the awareness that that's what you needed, but you also want it. I think sometimes it'll come that way.
Mhm.
Most of the time, I believe that what we need, though, is not what we know.
Mm.
You see, what we need doesn't involve knowing.
Mhm.
What we want, you've looked, you've researched, you chose. So the need is a choice. The want, you may know or not know. You may
Mhm.
want or not want. The know is more about destiny,
Mm.
right? So one is destiny filled. The other is in real time. We
Mhm.
wanted, we picked, we chose because this one had, that one has that, or, I feel like your need, everything about what you need involves identity, what
Mhm.
you're here to do. It involves purpose. It involves a certain type of inner power. What we want could be something trivial. It could be something that we don't even, you see, this is why I believe this is why we get tempted, you see, in faith, right? In conversations, for anyone who's listening, who's a Christian, you're going to hear them say, oh, the enemy. Let me tell you what the enemy does. The enemy, the enemy, or Satan, whatever they call, the enemy doesn't know our hearts. He knows our desires, right? And a lot of our wants involve desire. So what does the
Mhm.
enemy do? The enemy, a lot of people say, oh, the enemy attacks. Let me give you another word. The enemy seduces you because
Mhm.
he knows what you want. So he sends the car, the boyfriend, the neighborhood, the job, the trip, the bag, the shoes, you see? And that may steer you sometimes from your destiny. It'll
Mhm.
distract you enough that you're not focused on what you actually need to be doing. And this is very general, of course. I'm
Mhm.
not saying that sometimes the things we want are good things, right? There's a balance between the two. But just to illustrate that sometimes what we want is not good for us. I'm not
Mhm.
saying that you can't get the car, the job, sometimes that's good and it's purpose filled and it's destiny filled as well. But how many times do you hear people say, "Oh, I didn't get the job. And my first thing is, wow, because something better is coming.
Yeah.
We don't get to see what that is, but something better is coming. When the time is right, something is going to match what you
Mhm.
need. The universe is working in favor of your best, right?
Mhm.
Even without faith, we can say that, definitely, 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 what would be the point of living? We're here to live and experience a life of abundance, of joy, of beauty. All of those things we have access to. Thing is, most people don't feel deserving, right?
Right.
And so what they do is they go against what's a part of them, what's for them. They don't even know themselves enough. Somebody else said that earlier. People don't know who they are. You see,
Mhm.
people are operating from image, but not identity, because they
Yeah.
actually don't know who they are. A lot of people don't have that luxury, right? A lot of people didn't get to experience the self as a
Right.
priority, and they had to be in that work mode, survival mode, and whatever they did had to do with that image, trying to
Mhm.
trying to measure up, trying to compare, trying to, you know what I mean, trying to compete. All of those things, compare, compete, measure up, live up to, all those things are not positive things, right? It
Mhm.
looks that way because a lot of people then get to that overachievement type of mentality and they achieve a lot. So it looks good, but is it?
Right.
If you're not operating from identity, it is not. There
Yeah.
has to be a healthy balance between the two.
Mhm. So what is the healthy balance between the two?
The healthy balance between the two is, where you get to live your life with three very special things: saying different things to yourself about yourself, changing the narrative of what you're taught, right?
Mhm.
And adapting to a life that serves you. And how
Mhm.
do you know what that is? Because we all have that inner sense, right? We all have that feeling that when something doesn't resonate, everybody knows what that is. We
Yeah.
may not understand or grasp success or when something's right, but we definitely know when something is wrong. So
Mhm.
gift that we get that tells us somewhere internally that something doesn't resonate or doesn't serve us, red flags, call it whatever it may be, to unlearn some of those things that we picked as habits, or maybe something that was imparted to us through a family
Mhm.
dynamics or whatever, and change it so it serves us. So it's unlearning to learn new things, so the language of which we use to talk about ourselves. The other one would be what I said before: emotional humility. You have to be open, completely open and comfortable with the fact that we're imperfect, right? That
Absolutely.
way you can be vulnerable, you can be teachable, you can actually grow.
Mhm.
There's no growth without that. And the third thing I would say is that of feeling a deserving recipient, right? Because when you feel deserving, you're opening a portal for more things. So the balance between the the image and identity, right, would be that. The healthy balance would be understanding that both are at play, right? It's obviously, ideally, instead of, okay, just think of it this way: most people, they want to do and have, and then now I can be that person because I have the
Right.
car, the job. And it's the other way around. Who are you? And how you're living your life then will impact the way you do things, and therefore out of that you will have those things, right? It's not,
Mhm.
it's, they say do, be, do, be, do.
Gotcha.
So it's really be, do, have.
Gotcha. Well, thank you so much for coming on the Streamathon. I appreciate you as always. My next guest is coming on now, and I have all your stuff there. So we
Thank you
will
for
be in touch
having
as
me.
always. You're welcome.
Oh,
Talk to
did
you
you want me
soon.
to tell them real quick about what I'm doing for the next thing?
Yeah,
Just
go
real
right
quick,
ahead.
real quick. Beginning in January, at some point, check out my IG at Coaching with Dèa. I'll be releasing the dates and all of the information concerning this mentorship membership that I'm doing, called the Radiant Woman. And this is where we get to talk about and execute this way of being that I say,
Be
find
do
you,
have.
and everything else will follow. So I hope to see everybody there. Thank you for having me.